These here are the Neumann KH420s with the KH870 underneath. And then I'm running a surround system also with multiple KH310s in this room. The way that I've set it up in here, I can do full 3D or I can do 5.1s or 7.1s. I spend money on three things: my speakers, my screens, and my chair, because those are the things I use most. I think speakers are incredibly important. There's that tactile feedback that comes from hearing what you think it should sound like. And there's always that depressing point where it never quite sounds the way you want. It's not just that they're exciting, because there are very hyped speakers out there that sound amazing. It's that they tell the truth, which is really important to me. But they actually also they make me want to work harder. But it isn't depressing. It's actually an enjoyable thing. When it sounds good, it sounds amazing. And so I like the fact that there's a sort of balance between being clinical and being enjoyable. And that's tough to do. There are an awful lot of clinical speakers out there. And then there are these overhyped, enjoyable ones that actually don't tell you the truth. And I think this is the best combination I've ever come across. The dynamic range on these is truly incredible. They never distort. And I mean never, including when I throw insane synthesizer basses from films into them. We've got to a point where the house starts to resonate before the speaker distorts. And I genuinely mean that. We've had this at Air Studios in London as well, where we threw the low end in as loud as we possibly could. And there's a point where the building is starting to rumble, but the speaker never distorts. It's quite incredible what can happen with the low end here. There's something about the combination also that is unique in that the 420 itself is a very, very good speaker. For some reason, when you combine it with the 870, the top end gets better. It's not just the low end. It's not just, for some reason, maybe it relaxes the pressure inside the 420 when it's not having to do so much work on the low end. Suddenly the top end seems to open up. It's effortless across the entire frequency range. I can go from desperately quiet to ridiculously loud. I like loud. And people who come in listen and just blink and go, is it that good? And you go, yes. And I know that at a point where Simon Rhodes, who's one of the great engineers in the world, thinks they're ridiculously staggering. And when I have Chris Boyes here, who is a 4-time Oscar winner, he and his team were here. He left. 10 minutes later, I get a phone call saying, that was great. What the hell were those speakers? Chris has now got a set. He just thinks they're incredible. I had a film director that I was working with a few months ago on a film. They phone me up complaining bitterly. There's a problem with all the mixes, the reference mixes you're sending. And I say, what? And I'm getting really concerned. What the hell is going on? It must be the setup you've got over there. No. We were sure it must be something you're sending. So what we ended up doing was taking these reference mixes to the dub theater, to the senior dub engineer who's a legend in Hollywood film music. In film sound. And took the mixes down and we play them in the dub stage, which is another perfect environment. They sound exquisite. They sound lovely. The director and the film editor couldn't work out how it could sound so good in here. And the only problem was that they suddenly realized all the problems they had in their own setup. They now want to buy in exactly this setup for their system. Once you get it right, it translates everywhere. It's immaculate. They're just the best speakers I've ever used. To anybody who's actually going to buy these speakers, the 420 is really good. It's a really good speaker. But it's the combination with the 870 that makes it into the greatest speaker in the world. If you're going to do the sort of work that I'm doing, which is films and large-scale recording, where you need a bigger speaker that's set further back, it's the combination of the 420 and the 870 that is the sweet spot. If I was giving advice to a composer these days, I would say understand that the world is a lot bigger than you think it is. Although you may think that writing film scores is the best thing on earth, it's only one of the many, many opportunities you're going to get. You're going to find that for every action score that is identical because you've just gone because they're running down a tunnel and being attacked by a large robot hitting it. There are only so many of those that the world can live with. You're trying to find something new. I have a picture of Igor Stravinsky on my wall. My great-aunt and my great-uncle were friends of Stravinsky's. My great-aunt did this drawing of him conducting. We were talking about Rite of Spring. And I said, well, would he like the synthesizers and stuff? saying, "Oh yes, yeah." He grabbed the saxophone when the saxophone appeared. He was always trying to find something new, always trying to find the next. And I think as a composer, trying to find the next is an essential part of what we're doing. You look at some of the great work, okay, unlistenable but great work from people like Znekis or some of the other avant-garde composers of the 50s and 60s, which are actually prettier to look at than they are to listen to. But we're now sort of, in some ways, finally being able to actually create some of the visualizations that they were doing then. We can actually now create in a 3D space. I think it's the first time we've ever been able to do a lot of this. The quality of the recordings we're making is finer than there has ever been. And for every U67 that you have, which allows you that ability to touch the past, you also have an opportunity to take all the stuff, all the toys and bells and whistles that we have here to try and make the future. It's meant to be an evolving art. Trying to make something that sounded like it was made 30 years ago is a pointless exercise for me. So you have a responsibility to try and make sure that the quality of the music you do reflects the fact that you have these incredible tools.